Hey everyone, it's Ange with Still City Scented, where we discuss artsy, weirdo, vintage, indie, and artisanal perfumery. If you like that, you are in the correct place. I promised you all earlier last week a video of 3 scents that I would have worn if I had to go to the office to start my new position on Monday. But I didn't. But I pretended like I did. So there are 3 different choices that I think would make safe office fragrances, as long as you have no tolerance for fragrance policy, as long as you've obviously not been expressed that you can't wear fragrances, or if you'd like to. I really don't think that anyone needs to be told what to wear to an office or not. However, we've discussed in the past about the fact that you really do have to be sensitive to other people's noses, and it may not just be that they don't like your fragrance, it may actually cause them some physical or mental distress. You don't have to respect that from them, but it's always kind to be kind, right? Like, go Mr. Rogers on people, just an easier, better way. So, first premise, if I were starting in an office, I would go with some lighter fragrances that generally had a shorter duration of action, or I guess duration of action, sorry, pharmacist, really length of performance on your skin for the first few days anyway. I would try to get a feel for the office, if other people wear fragrances, what they wear, what your physical environment's going to look like. Like if you're working in a closet like I did when I was a resident, it's really difficult to wear fragrances, and I mentioned that. But if you're in a really big open space that's a little more airy, you might have a little more leeway. So again, you really won't know that unless you've been given very specific logistics about your position, all of the infrastructure, etc. So I've never been that lucky. I've also never worked in an office, so I've always generally traveled. Or actually, no, I lied. When I worked in a clinic, I have to think about what I wore back in my clinic days. No, I lied. It was part of Infusion de Riz, so it was something extremely inoffensive also. Anyways, let's get back to my fragrance choices again, realizing that everyone's situation is different, everyone's tolerance for fragrance, their allowance, etc., etc. So, the first that I would have worn, is sadly not so difficult to get, depending on the formulation that you want to get. But this one is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. This is Champagne, now called Yves. So I forget when, but in order to be called champagne, anything has to be derived from grapes from the Champagne region in France. This is obviously not a grape product. So Champagne YSL was sued by, I guess, the growers in the Champagne region in France, and they had to change the name to Yves. So now it's called Yves. It was released in 1993, and it's classified on Parfumo as a fruity floral. Who did this? This was, Sophia Grossman. Total side note, I learned recently, thanks to my homegirl on YouTube, Luke Parfum, she's really, really cool, that Sophia Grossman based 2 fragrances that she made, the first being Spellbound, and the second being Gloria Vanderbilt, the OG, bottle with the swan that everyone thinks is garbage, off of L'air Bleu. So now I can't wait to try those as consideration. Sophia Grossman, she's no joke. Anyway, back to this fragrance. So this, if you spray it with reckless abandon, you might not be the most favorite person in your office setting. So again, my new position, I'm really trying to take the mindset that I'm actually going to an office. I'm putting on actual clothing, doing my makeup, doing my hair, because again, I feel like that mindset will just help get me out of this I'm stuck in my home 24/7, and that can be quite challenging. It was for me my last position. So again, just trying to play the part, play the game, right? So I only sprayed 2 sprays on my left arm and then another fragrance on my right arm. But the top notes are peach, apricot, nectarine, aniseed, which I don't get a ton of straight up anise, caraway, and mint. In this bottle that I have, there's a bit of air, I don't really get any mint whatsoever. And not so much anise and caraway, which is surprising because those really don't piece out quickly, but I get more fruit than anything in the opening. And then the heart becomes absolutely just floral and beautiful. So listed are carnation, cinnamon, iris, jasmine, violet, lily of the valley, lychee, and rose. What comes across for me the most is carnation, rose, and iris. So it is a beautiful floral. So you're going to go, think of the early 90s, right? Fruity, floral, generally woody base. It progresses the same way. It's not super spicy in the mid. It's more pleasant, I think. So the spice of the carnation just instead of just a little bit of a kick. The carnation accord, I should say. And the base notes are quite pleasant. It's oak moss, amber, benzoin, coconut, which is the blender, musk. It's not a super animalic musk. Cedar, patchouli, styrax, vanilla, and vetiver. So again, quite the note concoction compared to a fragrance you'd see marketed today. That's listed anyways. But what comes out for me really most is amber and oak moss. Sometimes I get styrax, vanilla, vetiver, depending on what temperature this is. But again, this is a solid choice, I think, if you want to smell unique, but don't overspray. Okay, second in alphabetical order is Chantilly this one's a Dana version, so this is an EDT from 2000. Chantilly was originally developed by Houbigant back in the day, and Houbigant sold a lot of the rights for their perfumes to Dana, I think in the late 90s. I'll have to fact check myself about that, because I don't exactly know I didn't come prepared to talk about the history of Chantilly in general, but I mentioned in a picture that I posted once, if you really enjoy a Shalimar type scent profile, but you find that it's a little bit too warm or a little bit too animalic, especially if you get an older version of the PDT or the EDP, Chantilly is actually a really good formulation. And this is a 2000 bottle from Dana. So I've smelled older versions, I forget which manufacturer this is, but older versions of this fragrance. And the new versions, honestly, it's different, but it's not different that you need to go spend an exorbitant amount of money trying to find older bottles of Dana Chantilly anyway. The Houbigant Chantillys are beautiful for what they are, but we can talk about that again some other time. And my lights just went off. Hold on, please. There we go. Okay. So the notes here are in the top, lemon, orange, and carnation. So if you haven't picked up by now, I love carnation. Spices, jasmine, damask rose, and the heart, and the base is patchouli, sandalwood, and vanilla. So it's missing some of the components, obviously, the leathery, the animalic components, some of the citruses in the mid of Shalimar, but the note profile is pretty similar. So again, not being able to really want to wear something like Shalimar EDP, this would be something I think that's office safe. I wouldn't spray with Reckless Abandon, but this is affordable. It's maybe like 10 bucks. So again, I think it's very, very comforting, especially if you have a little bit of anxiety or nerves. I would want a comforting scent for me. This would definitely be that. And then last but not least, because I'm taking forever, is one from Papillon, and this is Hera. Now, Liz Moores is such a fantastic perfumer. I really love her, what she does. I love that she takes the time with her fragrances and really paces herself and doesn't feel threatened to push a billion fragrances out at one time per year. And God, I used to love Salome and Anubis as the top two from the line that I have. I don't know if I do, because the more I smell this, it's absolutely fantastic. So she made this as a wedding scent for her daughter. And let me give you some information. So this is 2022, again, classified as floral and powdery. I'm doing everything off of Parfumo. And the notes of this are narcissus, officially, iris, jasmine, may rose, orange, blossom, ylang ylang, and musk. So you might see those and go, isn't that kind of possibly skanky? I don't believe so at all. Like, this fragrance, it's not, iris can sometimes be perceived as cold. I think the jasmine, the orange blossom, the musk, the may rose warm this up a bit. It's not, and it's a very gentle, like white skin scent type musk. It's nothing, again, like that's nitro musk. I wish it were. But this is absolutely just, I think this is gorgeous. So, especially if you're working somewhere that's warmer than where I am, it may get a little bit more bold in the heat. I've obviously only worn this a few times last summer, and it's just so fantastic and so beautiful. A little more, quote, feminine than the other two releases, but this one, again, like, I've only got this much left, and I'm already stressing about when I can get my next bottle. So, okay, so we talked about 3 possible office fragrances for today. YSL Champagne, or Yves, Dana Chantilly EDT from 2000, and now Papillon Hera. So I hope you got a good idea of something to really sample for your office if you're kind of stalling on a fragrance to choose. And if not, I would love to hear what you guys wear, because I'm so curious, like, what does that look like? I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. I love you. Bye.